Paella Valenciana is like a Sunday roast in my Spanish family. It's what you eat when relatives and friends come over, for celebrations, and when people come back from far away. Valencia is also the traditional rice-growing region of Spain, so most Spanish rice dishes have their roots here. I've bookmarked the time codes of this video so you can see what you need as you're cooking. Before we get started, Spanish Taster is all about Spanish recipes and ingredients, so please subscribe if you're into that. Let's talk a little bit about paella pans. Today I'm going to be using this one for 3 to 4 servings. It's made out of carbon steel with an enamelled surface. It's like camping cookware. It's quite light and it has a thin base. And this is about as big as you can go for most domestic stoves. So you could use a similar sized fry pan for my recipe. Just don't use cast iron or anything that retains heat. And don't use non-stick because we want a crispy rice layer to form on the bottom. Alright, this can get contentious. So I have 2 recipes in the description. One is from the International Paella competition in Sueca in Valencia. This is where competitors tough it out over open fires trying to deliver the ultimate Paella Valenciana. Their recipe includes rabbit and snails. The one I'm making today is a simplified version using ingredients you should be able to find in most countries. Let's take a look. Water and oil in the back, flat beans and garrafón, which look like this. You just pop them like pea pods and inside you have these pearly or speckled beans. These ones are raw, it's late summer. The rice, I'm using this one from Valencia. It's a short grain round rice that absorbs a lot of liquid, meaning that the rice ends up packed with flavour while still holding its shape. 1 grated tomato, and then the flavourings. This is sweet paprika, so pimiento dulce if you're getting it from a Spanish market. Just 1 clove of garlic. Some Valencians skip this altogether and it's just cut in a fine dice. The last flavouring is the saffron. You want the strands or hebras if you're in Spain. I'm using about half a gram. We also need it for colour, so what I'm going to do is soak most of the strands in some tepid water to release the colour. With the meat, normally rabbit is used as well in roughly a 2 to 1 ratio. I'm only using chicken today. I've got 500 grams and it's cut up into small pieces. So the breast pieces are cut into 3 sections through the breastbone. You want to have the bones because we're basically making the stock in the pan, but make sure you rinse the pieces really well to remove any bone fragments. Then pat it dry and salt it. The extras are some fresh rosemary, snails. These are available in Spain but usually only in markets, so we don't use them every time. These ones are empty actually, so we're not using them today. And some lemon to serve. So let's get some olive oil in our pan, around 4 to 5 tablespoons. So here you'll see that my pan is slightly buckled. The oil is collecting in the center. And don't be afraid of this much oil. You need it to carry the flavour and also to form the socarats. Okay, when it's medium to hot, put your meat in and you can see that it only covers the center part of the pan. You don't want to load the whole pan with meat because there won't be enough room for the rice and the rice won't cook properly. So leave the chicken to brown, adjust your pan if necessary to keep it even on the heat, to keep the oil moving, and then turn and brown the other side. Okay, I'm happy with that browning. So then I'm just going to move the chicken to the outside of the pan, and you can see on the outside it's not really on the direct heat on my pan. And then into this middle bit where the oil is, I'm going to dump the veggies. I want these to brown a little as well and to release some liquid. So now I'm switching to this large slotted spoon and I'm going to use it to scrape and stir. And those brown pieces are going to be fantastic for colouring and flavouring the dish. So we're still medium-high heat here. You're looking at about 3 to 4 minutes, scraping as you stir. And this is why you want a basic pan. You couldn't do this scraping with non-stick cookware. So look at that, you've got some caramelization on those beans and they're starting to wilt. So once again, move the veggies to the outside and let the oil collect in the middle. Now what I want to do is put my flavorings into the oil, but you need to work pretty quickly so you don't burn them. So in goes the sweet paprika, the saffron strands and the garlic, and then mix immediately just until you smell the garlic, which is around 20 seconds. Then throw the tomato in so that the garlic doesn't burn. It smells really amazing right now. Okay, keep mixing those flavorings into that oil and work in some of the brown pieces from the bottom. The first liquid we'll add is the water infused with our saffron, and then about another 1 1/4 litres of water to bring the water up to the top of the chicken, and about 1.5 centimetres from the top of the pan. Get any flavour from your scraper back in the pan and then raise the temperature until it's a rolling boil, because you want these flavours to melt and you want some of the water, actually most of the water, to evaporate. You can see it's not exactly even with this burner. The gas is at the front, which is not ideal, but I don't want to move the pan because then gravity will win. So just rotate the pan gently and keep moving it every minute or so. And let this boil for about 15 to 20 minutes. So here we are at the 15-minute mark. I'm going to scrape the sides a bit to get a bit of this flavour back into the liquid. This is also the point that you can taste the stock to check the seasoning. It should be more salty than what you would want to eat because it still needs to season the rice. You can see that the liquid has reduced about halfway down the chicken, so this is the point that I want to add my rice. So you want to pour it in the gaps so that you have a more or less even layer. And the key thing is that you don't want any rice to be left above the water level where it won't cook. At first we're going to keep the heat high. We'll cook the rice in 2 stages. The first is a strong simmer and then the second a little bit lower. With Valencian rice, you can double check the recommended cook time on the bag. For me it's 15 minutes, so I'll go 9 minutes with a strong simmer and then 6 minutes with a low simmer. And the rice cooking is all about juggling the rate of evaporation to match the cooking time of the rice. So you want the rice to be in the liquid for most of the cooking time, but you also want it to cook off. This is also the point at which you would add the snails if you're using them. So you want to have an even layer. It's hard to see what's happening under the surface. From this point on you should avoid stirring too much because you want the rice to settle, but you can move the pan and you can also bang it down to distribute the rice in a single layer. Also, keep flicking any grains of rice that get marooned on the beans back into the liquid. So here we are at the end of the first rice cooking time. It does look to be a fairly even layer. So now I'm going to lower the heat. We still want the heat to be coming through. We want some evaporation, but not nearly as much as before. So this last phase is around 6 minutes and it's mostly hands off. Make small adjustments to keep that rice layer even and to move the pan to distribute the liquid. You can also add rosemary at this time. Okay, time's up, so I'll kill the heat and then I'm going to cover the rice with a clean tea towel for around 4 minutes. And this is when I sneak my rosemary in, either right at the end of cooking or in the resting phase. Then you serve it up with some lemon wedges on the side. And there you go, simplified Paella Valenciana. If you want more Spanish food ideas, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell because then you'll know when I've uploaded a new video. Take care and happy cooking.